Hello guys, thanks for joining me. As you can see, I've laid out my collection of deactivated weapons on the floor here, and I thought we'd just go over them just to show you what I've got in my collection. I grew up with firearms. My father was in the army for one thing, but he also had a Winchester 92 model in 30-30 cal, and we also had he also had a 68 series Colt 45, so I always grew up with guns and the like. When I was 18, I had a 38 Special Colt pistol, but I moved to the United Kingdom back in the 1980s, just in time for the government to basically restrict ownership of live firearms in the country here. So unfortunately, I've never been able to shoot or own live firearms since I moved here. So I kind of make do with these deactivations here. They're all inert, obviously. None of them work. They're basically glorified paperweights. So if you're in the United Kingdom, it's what you're used to. If you're watching from the United States, well, you're going to feel really sorry for me, I guess. But anyhow, I'm happy enough. And this is my collection here as it stands. What I've got here basically reflects my collecting interests when it comes to military. So that's basically World War II German Wehrmacht, and also Cold War period weapons. So I've got, I think, 9 deacts here. They're becoming very expensive in this country here, so it's unlikely I'm going to buy any more because, as I say, they're becoming very, very expensive these days. But the very first one that I ever bought was that Smith & Wesson here. I guess you could call it a Smith & Wesson model military and police. It developed into the Model 10 in the late 40s, early 50s. This one actually is a 1941 dated example. It's a British contract one, so it's a Lend-Lease pistol that was delivered to the British. And it's been rechambered for the .38 short or .38 Smith & Wesson round, as opposed to the 38 special. I've got this Uberti clone here of a single action Colt, and I have no idea why I bought it. It was dead cheap. That's the reason, I guess. It's actually a clone, as I say, chambered in 44 Magnum, which is why it's so big. You've got that hefty top strap there because of the 44 Magnum cartridge it would have fired when it was live. It's nice blued. It has a nice bluing on the metalwork, nice wooden grips. I have no idea why I bought it. I mean, I do like westerns and the like. I grew up, watching John Wayne films and the like, so I guess that's the reason I bought it. But anyhow, I got it, so never mind. I do love that little pistol there. That is a Colt Police Positive. And as the name suggests, it was used by the American police back in the 1920s, 30s, into the 1940s even. I think they were produced until the mid to the late 40s. I think about 1946 or 47 they stopped production of these. It's in 38 Smith & Wesson caliber, or .38 short, I guess you could call it. And from the late 40s, early 50s, the police started using 38 special in their pistols. But this is a basic pistol that they would have used, as I say, in the 20s and 30s. It's quite a nice pistol, nicely blued, as you can see. That's an old spec, which means you can chamber inert rounds into it. They all cock and click. Then moving on to the submachine guns here. I've got a German Bundeswehr Uzi. This one here was made in 1961 in Israel and supplied to the German Bundeswehr in early 1961. It's with the wooden stock, has a 25 round magazine, and it's quite a nice one. And the other submachine gun I've got is a MP40. Has an artificial it has a reproduction sling, but the otherwise That's my latest and last item that I bought, Deact wise, and really stupid expensive, these things, but worth it. I mean, if you grew up in the 1970s like I did, and in the 1980s, you would have seen a million films and TV shows with these, and I've always wanted one of these as an example. It looks really nice in my collection, and it was worth the money, definitely worth every penny, in my opinion. I mean, a lot of people will probably disagree on that, but anyhow, it's mine. So, I've always had an interest in the Cold War. Obviously, I grew up in the Cold War, so I've got a Type 56-S here. It was made by China. The Type 56 is the Chinese copy of the early AK-47s, and these were produced in the millions. And we're talking about tens of millions of these made in China. And China supplied the Viet Cong and the NVA in Vietnam. So most of the rifles that or I should say most, if not all, the AK-47 style rifles used in Vietnam, for example, would have been Type 56s. And again, in Iraq, they were very common there. Again, China supplied Iraq with large quantities of these, and they ended up in the Balkans and everywhere. So it's quite a iconic, in my opinion, rifle, Chinese-made rifle. It's a clone, a copy of the Soviet AK-47, obviously, but quite a nice example with the 30-round magazine. Then we've got a pistol there, and that's a German P38 9mm pistol. Came out, this particular one here is dated 1944. It's a old spec, and a cock and click example, quite a nice one. I do like that pistol. And yeah, it is a shame that I can't fire these on a range or anything like that. But anyhow, I can still enjoy just the feel of these items, the weight of them. I mean, I would never ever buy a Denex, for example, any of these toy reproduction things. I'd much rather have the real, if deactivated, weapon. These have a real history. They're made out of the real materials. They're basically real guns, weapons, rifles, just not able to fire. So I've got all the history behind them, which a Denex will never give you. That's just my personal view. I know a lot of my viewers will disagree on that. And then we come to my very favorite, I think, of my deactivations, and that's the M16A1 here. That's the rifle that I basically grew up with. I was an army brat. My father was in the army back in the 1970s, and that's the version that these soldiers had back in those days. The M16A1, which came out in the late 1960s, mid-1960s. And they were used by the US military up until the mid-1980s. Got the bayonet to go with it. Got a 30-round magazine. And it's just a cool rifle, in my opinion. It's the what they used to call a black rifle. And on top of that, I've got my German K98. This one here is a 1940 dated example, but having said that, it's a Russian captured example, so it's a mishmash of numbered parts. But it basically looks quite nice in my display. It does what it does. It's just a nice display item. I've got a bayonet to go with it. I do have a sling for the sling is on it, but you just can't see it at the moment. And I do like the feel of these weapons, the weight, and I just like studying how weapons operate, the operating systems, the different ways of functioning. So I like to have hands-on experience with these rifles. As I say, I cannot access live firearms, so I have to make do with these here. And they really, I'm really interested in the period that these came from. So the, as I say, World War II and the Cold War period. and it just gives me a closer connection to that time, to the people that actually use these in real life. Anyhow, I'm beginning to yap a little bit. The video's getting a little bit long now, so I think I'll wrap it up here. I hope you enjoyed the video. As I said, a lot of these views that I have, for example, regarding the deacts, will not be shared by many people, and a lot of people, especially in the viewers in the States, will probably be sniggering that I have to make do with these glorified paperweights, but not much I can do about it. I can still enjoy having these, and I can tell you I do enjoy having them. Anyhow, thanks for watching. I'll leave it at that, and bye for now.